Welcome back. It's so nice to see all of you. I'm just so pleased that we are here at week number 2 already. Did I mention last week that we would have a videographer here? I think I did. I can't remember. So much has happened in a week. I'm sure a lot has happened to you. But understand, you may be on film. We never know. So be prepared. And I'm glad that Stuart could be with us. He does a wonderful job videotaping our speakers, editing them, and then putting them on the public website. So you know Brown has 2 websites, the internal Brown, right? And then the UVA site. Okay, so look, we have a wonderful agenda planned for you tonight. We have one of our faculty resident scholars, Aynne Kokas, here, who's going to say a few words about herself in just a minute. And of course, we have Eduardo Montez Bradley, filmmaker extraordinaire, director extraordinaire, and his lovely wife, who's an extraordinary woman in her own right, and president of Heritage Film Project. We're going to talk to you about the making of the film Monroe Hill, and we have several members of the film crew here, and they will be introduced shortly as well. So look, we have a very busy afternoon planned. We're going to roll right through here and talk, and hopefully you'll have great questions to ask our speakers tonight, things that you're curious about, things you want to learn from them, because they are here to teach you about the work they do and the paths or the routes that they took to get to where they are. So it's pretty important to consider all of that. I do want to say 1 or 2 things here about you all as a group. You are an extremely accomplished group of people. And I have 5, 6, 8 pages of things that you shared with me, and I can't thank you enough for doing that. It's unbelievable the things that you've done. And there's no way I can read all of them, but I am going to do a couple of them here tonight, and I'll do some more next week, etc., until I'm able to get through almost the entire list. Now, you just have to understand that I'm going to miss a few. So please realize if I miss you, if you don't recognize you during the course of my sharing these things that you've done, it's not because I didn't value it. It's just that I can't possibly do every single one of them. But I do want you to know that many of you wrote and shared with me that you're very proud of having been admitted to UVA, and you should be proud of that, and certainly you should give yourself a round of applause for that. It is a great accomplishment. And just a couple of things. There's somebody here, and this is like, who is this person? You can figure this out, eventually. Maybe you even know. But we have somebody here who helped a family member overcome and deal with the effects of cerebral palsy. We have somebody here who's really proud of having been able to save 3 lives as a lifeguard. And they were vigilant enough to realize that those people were all in distress. How often do you go to AFC? Well, you haven't been to AFC. Have you been to AFC yet? Lifeguards are like in another world there. If I'm drowning, are you really going to know this? And but evidently you guys are really good for lifeguards. That is really important. This person admitted that it really sounds cheesy, but they're really proud that they got into Brown College. Yep, you all should be proud of this as well, because when they learned about the people who live here, the people who work here, and the people associated with Brown, they just knew this is where you need to be. You need to be here and stay here. And so, having mentioned the outstanding people here, we're going to turn this right over to Aynne Kokas. Aynne, media studies, and we're going to just let you talk because I know you're very good at this.
Hi everyone, it's such a pleasure to be here at Backstage, and I felt very honored that Professor Plaskon invited me today. So I actually am also a Brownie in my own way, in the sense that I live in Venable. So I'm somebody's neighbor here, probably. Do we have any Venable people? Or Gildersleeve? Okay, Gildersleeve. We're neighbors. We've got the same rep. I saw there's the so I live in the dorms, which is pretty amazing. I also eat in Brown College sometimes. I'm a 2nd year professor at UVA, so for those of you who are 2nd years, we're in the same boat, 2nd year at UVA. I'm a professor in the Media Studies department, as Dr. Plaskon mentioned, and I teach on the relationship between China and the US and how Chinese and American media companies and technology companies work together. So a couple of examples of that. How many of you have heard of the film Transformers 4? Okay. How many of you knew that Transformers 4 was a co-production between a Chinese company and an American company? Okay, great. So that's the type of work that I do, kind of tracing the movement of media capital, so media financing, media production capacity, media marketing, and looking at how that movement flows from the United States, which is currently the world's largest media market, to China, which is the world's second largest media market, but is growing. So in the US, we had 2% growth in our film industry. Last year in China, they had 33% growth. So if we think that we have a $10 billion industry in the US and a $4.8 billion industry in China, 2% growth, 33% growth, pretty soon we're going to have a flip. So in that process, my work analyzes how our media cultures change as a result of those shifting cultures of media production. So in 10 years, will Transformers 4, rather than being geared for, or will Transformers 15 probably at that point, because you know they're going to keep making them. Like that movie made a lot of money. Pardon?
It's like Fast and Furious.
Yeah, Fast and Furious did really well in the Chinese box office.
I don't understand. How does it keep going?
Well, yeah, so Fast and Furious 20, for example, will that be made more for audiences in China, which by then may be the largest media market, or will it be made more for audiences in the United States? And what kind of weird shifts in culture and industry and finance will be happening as a result of that? So that's the type of work that I do. How does one start a career like this? Not necessarily in a straight line. So basically, this just happened as a result of fate. I was in high school in Michigan. I'm a Michigander. Is anyone here from Michigan? Not that many of us. Okay. So I was in high school in Michigan, and I started studying Chinese. The reason that they offered Chinese in my high school was because at that point there were a lot of automotive companies that were outsourcing their labor to China. You need to learn Chinese. So I started learning Chinese, and then when I was in college at University of Michigan, I started studying Chinese there, and I went to Peking University in my third year to learn more Mandarin. When I was studying, I had a Korean roommate and a Japanese roommate, and I was American. So we all had like our own particular accents when speaking Chinese. So I had an American accent when speaking Chinese. My Japanese roommate had a Japanese accent when speaking Chinese, and my Korean roommate had a Korean accent while speaking Chinese. After about 6 months in, I had all three, so kind of like the worst sounding Chinese ever. And I just happened to be flipping through a magazine, and I saw this ad for an American female roommate to live in the Beijing film studio with a native Beijinger, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, because I can move there and I can live in this film studio and I can learn Chinese from this person. So I went, and so at that point the Beijing film studio, like many communist work units, was organized around the studio, a film school, so the Beijing Film Academy, and then there were dorms or buildings for all the workers to live, kind of like Brown College and UVA, if you want to think about it that way. So I basically lived in the Brown College of the Beijing Film Studio for a year. Learned Mandarin, and then I met all of the film workers there. And at the time, there were more and more foreigners who were becoming involved in the Chinese film industry. So I started seeing this, and I was like, this is really interesting. And then after college, I went home and I became a management consultant. I followed my parents' wishes, and I got this super high-paying job, and then I told them that I wanted to go back to China and study directing. They were really sad. So I studied directing at the Beijing Film Academy for a year, and then I started my PhD at UCLA. So, and then after living in Los Angeles, I came to UVA, and here we are. So the classes that I teach include one class that's kind of one of my favorites called Media in China, where we look at the media environment in China. That's next semester. This semester I'm teaching a class called Hollywood Goes to Asia, which looks at things like Transformers 4, this kind of media investment of American companies into East Asian countries. And then also vice versa, which we're increasingly seeing investment of East Asian countries into Hollywood. I also am teaching a class called Global Environmental Media, which just emerges, and this is one reason why I'm really happy that I can be a part of a community like Brown, because as from what you've heard, my research doesn't focus on environmental issues, but it's something that I care deeply about. And one of the things that I think that's amazing about this community is that it's a space where you don't have to be just one thing. You can have a diverse array of interests, and the people around you respect you for that, and they love you. They love that about you. So because environmental issues are something that I'm passionate about, and I'm a media studies professor, I've been able to incorporate that into my work. And so this is one thing that I would encourage all of you to do as you're starting your journey as Brownies, to really embrace all of the things that you love and the things that inspire you, because the likelihood is that you'll find other people in the community who really value that. Thank you very much for your time and attention, and I hope to have the chance to see you in a media studies class at some point soon.
Any questions for Anne? If you want to ask her, and to your tone. All right. We'll save
One
them.
question?
Yeah, what classes do you teach?
So I teach media in China next semester. I'm also teaching a class called Media and Cybersecurity, which is kind of another area of interest. That's the first time I'm teaching this class. It's significant in the sense that we also have had some, when looking at the relationship between media and technology companies between the US and China, there have also been some really significant hacking incidences. Some of you may have had to change your email passwords recently. I know I did. My access to the internet has not been the same since. So I'm really interested in these kind of global questions of the relationship between media and cybersecurity as well. I will say, media studies is a very popular major, which is great as a professor. It's also great as a student. You get to take. My colleagues are amazing. I think we have awesome classes. The main thing is though, if you want to enroll in the classes, you enroll early. So put that as one of your first selections, especially if you're a first or second year. If you're in the end of your second year, in order to get into the advanced classes, you have to be, for the most part, a media studies major already. So at the time of being able to declare a major, you want to declare, if you're interested in this type of field, declare as early as you can so that you can be able to register. So I'm seeing some nods by some students here who are in the major aspiring as such. So that's one piece of like inside info that I would give you. And also just as a general point, always feel free to say hi, or if you have questions, just come, stop by, knock on my door in Venable, and I'm happy to chat. Okay.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. All right.